Hello and welcome. My name is Ellen with Ellen Estelle, and today I'm going to be taking you on a trip of Barcelona fabric stores. First up is Merceria Santa Ana. As you can see, it was on a quiet side street. This haberdashery store had an abundance of trims, bra cups, shoulder pads, and a plethora of buttons. I came to this store just as they opened up after their afternoon siesta, and there were quite a few women waiting to come in the store. As you can see, there are a couple of counters. When you want to purchase something, you must go up to the counter and grab a number. I spent a long time at the button counter. Along the counter are these cards full of buttons. The cards were sorted by color, and each button price was listed. As you can see, some of the buttons were as cheap as 60 cents. Then there were the boxes of buttons. Now you couldn't go behind the counter, so anytime you wanted to look at a button, a salesperson would have to grab the box for you. The good thing about the boxes were that all of the buttons were in the box together. If you wanted buttons on these cards, then you'd have to ask the salesperson to go to the back of the store and look for them. Sometimes there were only a couple of buttons left. I can't wait to show you all the buttons that I got. Now it's time for fabric shopping. First up is Donata Sheets, which is Catalan for fabrics. They had an amazing selection of printed fabrics. There were also beautiful tweeds. I got this burnout fabric for just under 20 euros a yard. In the back room, they had a great selection of beaded laces and solid fabrics, including chiffon and satins. Stay tuned till the end to see what I purchased. Directly across the street was Ribes i Casals. This was like Donata Sheets on steroids. The store was huge. They had every kind of fabric in any color or print imaginable at really cheap prices. You could see the fabrics on this table were just under 5 euros a meter. What they don't tell you is that their sales associates are very persistent. I was just admiring a couple of things of fabric when a sales associate approached me and pulled out the roll for me to see. She, of course, persuaded me to purchase the fabric that I was looking at and proceeded to cut the fabric off the roll in front of me. She then folded the fabric and held it, and I had to talk to my friend to ask her to translate because I wanted to know if I should pick up the fabric at the counter or what to do with it. And the sales associate told her that she would just be holding my fabric, and she proceeded to follow me around the store, and any time that I looked at a piece of fabric, she would unroll it and show it to me. It was so hard to resist any fabrics at that point. In their lower level, they had an abundance of trims, including these cool fringe pieces. And they also had a whole section of home decor fabric. But that's not it. Directly next door was another fabric store called La Casa de Retaud Teixits, or loosely translated to the house of cut fabrics. Here they had a wide selection of printed spandex fabrics and traditional Japanese prints, all at a cheap price point. And right next door was yet another fabric store called Ruby Textil or Ruby Textiles. They had even cheaper fabrics, and if you went upstairs, they had this room full of fabrics that were €1 to €2 per meter. There were many more fabric stores in Barcelona that I did not get the chance to get to. I was intentional with my time and made sure to only go to fabric stores that offered cheaper price points and yet higher quality fabrics. You can also check out the Mercat dels Encants, or the Market of Charms. This market is open Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. This was my experience going to the market on a Wednesday. There were stalls and stalls of fabric vendors at really, really cheap prices, like €1, upwards of maybe €5 per meter. They had a wide selection of spandex, satins, laces, brocades, a lot of different kinds of fabrics. And now I'm excited to show you what I got. First up, I'm going to start with the buttons from Merceria Santa Ana. They had really, really cool buttons, and it was hard to narrow it down, especially because I didn't have any projects in mind. So I ended up getting between 6 and 8 buttons per style. These were some of my favorite novelty buttons that I got. They had a bunch of different shapes and colors. And these were some buttons that I found at a stall in El Mercat dels Encants. There were a wide variety of colors and a couple of different sizes, so I was sure to try and get as many colors in each size as I could. Each button was about 20 cents. And now onto the fabric. So first up, I went to Donna's Textiles. As you saw in the video, this was hanging on the wall. It is a beautiful woven fabric. You can see that there is a burnout to it. It is fuchsia and red. Next, laying on the table was this really cool tiger print. It also kind of has a burnout to it. If you can see, it has a little bit of an abstract print to it. And if you look really closely, you'll see the white tiger or cheetah or leopard or whatever he is. And then you'll see a black one. So if you flip it this way, the black one is facing upwards now. You see him? Then there was also this fabric, which has a little bit of a stretch to it. I bought 2.5 yards of this because I'm not sure what I want to make with it, but I do want to have some fun with this stripe. If you can think of anything, let me know in the comments below. So I still have the receipt from Donna Textiles, and I spent $87.90 in euros. I had gotten, it looks like 4 meters of one, 2 of another, 1 of one. Across the street was Ribs and Cazals. Their tote bag was $1.99, and I kind of wish I would have gotten more than one because I've been using this bag for everything. After I got it in Barcelona, I kept it around just because I hate getting reusable bags, and for the most part, a lot of cities now charge if you want to use plastic bags. So as you saw, they had tables and tables full of rolls and bolts of fabrics. This was one of the first ones to catch my eye. It reminded me of like a Dolce & Gabbana print. It is medium weight, has a little bit of stretch to it, woven fabric. But I love how brilliant the colors are on this print and how striking it is against the black and the white. So this is when I realized that the sales associates will follow you around, and while that may be helpful when you're buying lots of fabrics, it's not helpful when you're casually browsing, because then it's almost like someone there incentivizing you to just buy the fabric. So I was looking at a couple other bolts, and I noticed that they had 2 that had the same exact colors, but 2 different prints. So kind of like the black and white one that I bought at Donna's, this is a little bit of a wider stripe, but I loved the colors of this one. And next to it was this print. So you'll see the difference is this one has a black line outlining all of the stripes and patterns, and this one doesn't, but the colors are almost the exact same. So I think it would be really cool to mix both of these and make a really fun print, maybe a dress. What do you guys think? They had so many striking prints, and you know I love a good print. They had this one, beautiful green. This was in their remnant bin, but I really like the green. I think this would be beautiful lining fabric for a coat. It has a super, super soft textured hand feel. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of silk in this. They also had this watercolor print, which I love. I realize now I was going for a lot of different stripes and not quite linear, but a lot of different lined fabrics. But watercolors are in right now. And then they also had a woven linen fabric. I got this because I was like, well, if I go somewhere else in the summer, I would love to have something that's breathable and light. It is a cotton linen, and I love the colors. So the next shop that I popped into, I quickly browsed, and I ended up just getting this from their remnant bin. I noticed that they had rolls of this fabric. This was 1.5 meters. So in total, it was €5.25. Again, this is also kind of a linen, but I'm pretty sure this was a Japanese fabric, at least a Japanese print. They had several of these. It's not quite as bold as some of the other fabrics that I bought, but I do like the print a lot. Maybe this could be a really fun, casual kind of jacket that I could throw on over things. I think a lot of these colors would blend well with the clothes that I have in my wardrobe already. And last but not least, on the same block, the next store that I had gone to, all of those fabrics were deep, deep discount. And several of these fabrics I had found upstairs in that discounted room. So a couple of those include this great emerald green animal print fabric. It looks like there's a mixture of stripes and spots. So leopard and cheetah perhaps. I love the sheen of this. It's super soft as well. And this I think was €1 or €2 a yard. So I couldn't pass it up. In the same room was this great fabric, has amazing stretch to it. And it's like a wood grain in a beautiful pink color. I bought this because it reminds me a lot of like fast casual fashion right now. And again, at €1 or €2 a meter, it was a steal. Another deep discounted fabric. So this one, although it's a beautiful mauve purple color, what really struck me about it was the backside of it. It has this brushed, textured hand feel. And the only reason I know that it's the backside is when you look closely at the side, you can see the holes that are punctured in there. When the holes are punctured in and you can tell they're like facing you, for example, as in it was clamped on this side and the hole was pierced through on this side, this is the backside of the fabric. So it creates like a nice weight to it. I'm not sure what the other qualities would be that it gives to this fabric specifically. Having a textured, brushed feeling on the back, but not on the other side, I think it's just an added perk. I mean, if this is the case, you almost don't need to line the fabric. And then last but not least, at the store, I was like, well, I've already bought several other things of fabrics. By this point, I had bags and bags of fabrics with me. And I was like, what's one more? So I saw this fabric on a roll by the register. And while it isn't in English, I'm not entirely sure that it's in French either. But I did think it was an interesting fabric. I like the colors. I think it would go really well with some fabrics that I already have. And so my thought was, I'll get this cottony textured fabric and use it for a lining for a coat or a jacket. The only English phrase that I see on here is, here it says, forgotten time. And then it also says, forgotten in the passing of time. So you know, my fabric journey did not stop there. I also went to an outdoor flea market and I was so excited to find some fabric vendors. This was the first fabric to catch my eye. I believe I paid $6 a meter, but I bought all that was left on the bolt, which was just about 1.5 meters, and I ended up paying $8 in total. Is a beautiful burnout. I love the fabric color. It also has a raised texture on all the edges. After that, I had moved on to another vendor, and here I found a beautiful purple fabric. But what really struck me was that it's reversible. So I got 4 yards of this, and I'm not quite sure what to make of it yet. Has a great weight to it, has a little bit of a stretch, and again, it's reversible. So I kind of want to play that up and mix and match the pieces a little bit. If you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. And then finally, I knew I shouldn't buy this, and I did anyway, because people left me to my own devices. But I saw this fabric. I think it was €1 or €2 per meter. And I was like, this fabric is so cool. I mean, I don't normally wear yellow. It's not the best color for my skin tone, but I do love the fabric. And it is a like heavier weight. Has a great stretch. It's a knit fabric, but it has this awesome honeycomb print around it. And I was like, this would make a really, really striking coat if you did something really long. I ended up getting 3 meters of this, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it yet. I almost didn't make it. This almost didn't make it home. I ended up having to put it into a box that was getting shipped back to the States because it wouldn't fit in my suitcase because of how like thick and bulky this is. But it did, and here we are. So now I'm going to have to think of something to make with it. If you like these fabrics and have any suggestions on what I should make with them, please comment them below. And until next time, like and subscribe.